All right, good morning, everybody. This is Kathy Sipple, and we're here for day 3 of the birth of a brand. Again, Monday, we talked about ideas that go into, how does a brand come forth? How does a project get birthed? What are the ideas that were in it, behind my particular project? And I gave you some tools that I hope will help you identify ways that you can, bring your own forth. Either questions you can ask, tools, or other, guiding lights. Yesterday we talked about naming, and just a quick update on that. I did submit the application to legal, and so we've got a trademark coming through. So we'll see how that all goes. I did the initial trademark search myself, and I'll keep updated on that. Quite frankly, I've never taken the step to trademark anything before, but this one feels, pretty solid. So I really want to make sure I do this by the book. The other reason I did it was, I just want to comment on a few things that several of you said yesterday. Deb Landry mentioned, hey, you really need to work on Google and get better positioning on Google for this. One reason is that it is a soft launch. So, I said, well, that's one reason I haven't done a big deal of putting it out there, which is true. And I also mentioned, during the naming, you don't want to fight with somebody who owns the name and is actively using it. Well, there did happen to be a private company that had been using it, CoThrive Inc., and they're actually located in Georgia, or they were located in Georgia, and they're out of business. That trademark is no longer active. I've tried calling them. The phone number is dead. From whatever I can figure out, it seems like they're just not using it anymore. So I am going to be looking to get it released from Twitter. There's an inactive use thing that you can follow up from Twitter. On every other social platform, I think I'll be able to compete. And normally I would say don't go up against something that's being used. However, this one really isn't being actively used. So I think that in relatively short order, I can supplant these indexed things that are out there currently, on Google. But for the time being, I understand it's a little confusing. If somebody were just to do a Google search on CoThrive, they're going to find something else. So I did that intentionally, though. I really like the name, and I have it in the works to own it. And so, once I've got that trademarked, that will be something I can submit to the powers that be and kind of try to claim these online spaces. The other thing is I haven't done anything with Google indexing because, the site has just been launched like within the last, 24, 48 hours, okay? So it'll get there. But what I need from you, my tribe, is to organically help bring, attention and eyeballs to it. So I may do a rebranding episode, probably not this week, but how do you go from one brand to another on social media? It is a little bit intricate. I'm not sure that that's going to apply to everybody, but that might just be a one-off, 1 hour thing that I do, or even a shorter. So anyway, short thing about that. And somebody, I won't say who, mentioned that I tend to be a little jumpy with the mouse, and I think I'm a little over-caffeinated sometimes, and so I'm going to try to not move the mouse around and draw circles. So I do apologize if that was bothering anybody else. I do appreciate feedback that helps me do better. So anyway, without further ado, besides the legal thing that happened within the last 24 hours, I also have a new logo design that I think really pretty much nails it, or is darn close. And I just want to kind of review what I did very quickly to get to where I am, and also to honor Scott's time. Scott Mason is a friend of mine who is a graphic designer up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I know Scott from back in the, gosh, Scott, what was it, late 80s, early 90s, when we both were involved with an advertising club up in Milwaukee. And we've been friends on Facebook, and he just kind of had been following what I was doing, saw my attempts to design a logo, and just without me knowing that he was working on it, stepped forth and said, hey, I just want to throw these ideas out there. So basically, my first attempt doing this, mostly because I was, pretty underfunded. I'm doing free webinars to basically see if there's any interest for this project. So I'm doing it kind of on a quick budget. I'll probably go over my budget numbers maybe Friday just to show you viability and, for anybody that's planning on launching a brand, just show you, kind of what my budget has been and what my plan looks like, because obviously, that comes into play. But anyhow, I did these 3 concepts through a company that, I think does a nice job for what it is that they do, which is really kind of down and dirty logos. I mean, for very, very inexpensive. It's a company that's called Logo Nerds. I do actually mention them, not on Birth of Co-Thrive. This is still a secret board. Again, for those of you who might not have seen me on all the other various webinars that we've done before, just want to tell you I sometimes just put ideas together or resources making pins. So I've got a board called Marketing Toolbox on Pinterest. If you want to follow me on Pinterest, I'm there at pinterest.com/Kathy Sipple. And again, this is Marketing Toolbox. So these are some of the things that I use, not just on the Co-Thrive project, but I've used fairly consistently, throughout most of my projects. And Logo Nerds I have used before. So there is a link here that you can click on, and just to be completely transparent, I am an affiliate for them. They don't charge an awful lot, so I really, obviously I make next to nothing, but they have packages starting at just $27 for web-only design, $47 to get the print files and web. So I was able to get this logo design, Kathy Sipple and Associates, through them, and I gave them pretty specific feedback. It's kind of garbage in, garbage out. If you don't know at all what you want to get out of it, then it's real easy to kind of get back junk or really generic stuff. So I thought they did a very nice job for that, especially given the price. I can show you a little bit about what their intake process looks like, or might be more telling to to give you my my answers. But basically, there's a sample questionnaire in here, and once you go through that questionnaire, then they come back with some ideas in fairly short order, usually 3 to 5 business days. So I think that's pretty helpful. It's not going to be right for everybody, but it can be pretty helpful. All right, let me just go over to Facebook, and I'm going to show. Yeah, you know what, I'll just use Pinterest. Here we go. Let's see. Okay. Okay, Doka, just some feedback for you. Deb Landry just asked to be friends with you. I would suggest you take that because she is one of the most creative people you're going to meet. She's another artist, not necessarily a graphic designer, but she said she would like to give you some input. So if you want to accept her friendship, that would be probably a very cool move for you. And she also suggested maybe you want to pin that question to the top of your timeline to give it better play, because she didn't see it. So just FYI, if that helps, that would be good. Okay, so let's see, where was I? So many things to talk about. Okay, Birth of Co-Thrive, here we go. I just kind of captured what it was that I was putting out there for people on Facebook. Again, yesterday I showed you how I asked about the name and got feedback. Well, I did the same thing. This was just February 16th, 9 days ago. I said I've got a new project underway. It will finally tie together my environmental, spiritual, agricultural interests with my business. Do you have input for me? Well, I got tons of input. I really did. And Scott Mason, again, my friend from Milwaukee, was kind of watching this unbeknownst to me. And Scott, I'm going to go ahead and unmic you. Let me just do that right now. And if I felt that I could have budgeted Scott into this project, or Kathy, who will be joining later, I certainly would have gone that route. One reason I didn't is that I, number one, didn't have the budget, but number two, didn't really know what I wanted. So let's go ahead and put you on. Scott. Are you able
Hello.
to? Hello, good morning. So tell me what you were thinking when you saw these concepts pop up. You know, what activated in you, and what impelled you to step forth and kind of take a stab at it?
Well, I saw mainly the graphic portion that was the more organic part seemed a little bit coarse, and the structure, to me, just from a technical standpoint, had some problems. So I thought that I could, execute something that was a little bit more, I don't know, flowing and polished on that end of it. And I thought that, it wouldn't probably take too long, but it was fairly complex in a shape that, I had a vision in my mind that I thought would be an improvement of what they started, because they already had, all the input that you had as far as what you were thinking of and the different elements to incorporate. So it was something that they had taken a shot at. I just had a thought that I could kind of refine it and make it a little bit more flowing.
And I'm just putting up here on screen, hope you don't mind, I'm sharing that first email that I got from you. I shared initial logo concepts on February 16th on Facebook, and then your reply to me was dated February 18th, so you kind of developed something over 2 days, replied back to me, and Scott said, Kathy, I've been following the story of your new brand, and I think it's a cool idea you are launching. The concept logos got me thinking and scribbling and trying some things just to see what would happen, knowing fully, all caps, that these were not requested by you, directed by you in any way, and not of any value other than alternate concepts that I did. You can do whatever you like with them, just concepts. So we'd kind of worked on a little barter project, and frankly, a logo was way more important to me than that. So I gladly accepted Scott's input. And this was the first concept that he gave me. If anybody wants to comment via chat, this would help to review later, or I'll probably do a summary. And obviously the video will also be available. I really liked what Scott showed me on here. I mean, my initial impression was that this was very, very clean, very professional. I felt like, definitely looked way more than a $27 or $47 logo. Scott, what I had told you too was that for me, I felt that my brand was maybe a little bit softer, a little bit, I think I said groovier, and this looked a little slick. Do you remember what other feedback I gave you, and then how you kind of molded it to the next incarnation?
Well, a couple of things I did was I obviously did change the font, which was something I had decided, on my own without having your, outline of what your goals were. So that was a bad decision, or just an incorrect decision based on what you were trying to do. So that, was something I had decided that was a little bit off track. And then I was tinkering with the different shapes that you were talking about, or at least using in the other logo, and I thought had come up with some variations that might work well visually, but then again, looking back, once you had shared your full kind of goals list, some of the things I had done didn't quite match up with what your goals were, and then looking at them in that framework, I could see, but the corn was a little bit too much emphasis on that, and then also, intertwining with the letters, although maybe had an interesting kind of integration to it, maybe wasn't quite as effective as, separating those two elements.
Cool. Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and just share, our feedback, because I think sometimes we do things so quickly, I need to refresh my memory of what the heck we said too. And I understand people watching this on screen, this might be a little bit small, so I'll just tell you what it says. I like the elements of what you did here very much. I think yours looks much more polished and professional than the concepts I received so far. Then again, they're from Logo Nerds. Nothing bad about Logo Nerds. I think they're amazing for the value that they're able to offer. But it's just, you do get what you pay for. And Scott's been doing this for, don't want to give away your age, but 20 plus years, 25 years. So
25.
25, yeah. So, that's a lot of experience, and I would expect to pay for that again, which is the reason I didn't, come to somebody like Scott or another graphic designer friend of mine. Okay, and so then I gave him my kind of crazy, this is going to be really small, but I do want to kind of share this with you. I'm going to read some of my input that I gave to Logo Nerds, and then Scott, I'm curious too if you've got additional questions that you ask clients or just guidelines that you could share with the audience to help. But let me read what I was prompted to give to Logo Nerds. They just asked the name to be used in the logo, which obviously I had, the website address, tagline, growing and supporting one another, we thrive. That's what I kind of came up with. Description, a field or field of business. And this is kind of new. I don't think it's really a field yet. I said I want it to be an online intentional community, kind of like a hippie commune, but online and with more vision, learning, growth, and be work focused. There is no brick and mortar place where members will gather. Target clientele: life coaches, healers, artists, natural health professionals, local food chefs, sustainable farmers, massage therapists, herbalists, musicians, authors, thought leaders, social entrepreneurs, innovators, groovy people. Not exclusively women, but I expect that women will be the majority. Why? I'm not sure. Nothing against any of you guys, but it just seems like that's kind of how it's gone so far. So that's just my expectation, is that it might continue that way. And then colors to appear in the logo. I attached 2 other logos that I've got with current brands that I thought, hey, if I display them as a family of brands, it would be nice if they look, like they're related. It seems almost like genetic engineering in a way. It's like, hey, what do I want the kid to look like? Well, here's this. If you could take this color from this, have the eye color of this. But anyway, I like the Kathy Sipple and Associates logo that I had done with them before. The 219 Green Connect logo, that's also kind of in greens. I said I'd like the graphic plus the word co-thrive together to represent the logo, preferably in a squarish shape. The reason that I said that was so that it works with most social media profiles. In Facebook, you kind of have to put your little logo into this tiny box, and I've had a very strongly oriented horizontal logo for some time with my social media coach, and it's totally awkward. I mean, this is kind of almost like stupid right now, the way I've got it with my picture on there and it above. That really does not work. Anyhow, that'll soon be gone. That's good news. But when you have a strong horizontal logo, the way to force it into a square is kind of to add white space above and below to get it into the square. So I just kind of put that on my checklist out there when I'm working with a client. Consider how you're going to integrate with social media. There again, on the header, either on your Twitter headline graphic or bio graphic, your Facebook cover image, or your YouTube channel, that does warrant a more, in Google Plus as well, a more horizontal type graphic. So it's almost like you've got to keep both of those in mind, because you're going to have different needs. Special type of graphic or icon desired. And I said I like the idea of intertwining plants in permaculture, which again is a portmanteau of permanent plus agriculture. There is the concept of guilds, plants that do better grown together than separately. One example is the Three Sisters, corn, squash, and beans. I didn't go into this here, but in Native American tradition, they plant all 3 of those in the same space, and they all actually do better together than they would as a whole field of corn or just squash or just beans. So I even said it's hard to imagine how that would come together without looking too busy. Here's a link to the subject matter I'm referencing, not to be used for a logo, but just to get more excuse me, on that idea. And then ideas: if the corn, squash, bean thing is too messy, maybe the suggestion of 2 interwoven vines. They're thriving, possibly bearing fruit. What should customers imagine when they, see the logo? And I said, it looks peaceful here, but energized, good feng shui. I'm curious, how do I join this tribe of wise, fun people? So I was kind of being a little playful with it, and, I don't know. That's just how I roll, I guess. Competitors, as far as I know, this is pretty new. Not sure there is another quite like this yet. Reference links, it's great if you can find something that you kind of like for them to take off of. And I said, not exactly this, but the caduceus represents health, and the vines are there in place of traditional snakes, some elements of this, da-da-da-da-da, not to be used. So what really don't you want? I kind of got carried away here, but unicorns, peace signs, tie-dye, rainbows, we want to suggest hippie culture, but not over-the-top reference. So 3 items to represent the company: beautiful, healthy vining plants, a caduceus symbol, the word co-thrive with the T capitalized. Maybe the word co-thrive could have similar treatment to the S in Kathy Sipple, which was kind of a, I don't know, scripty kind of thing. So anyway, after I gave that to Scott, you took that in, you made some changes, and should I go ahead and show that next, oh, I'm sorry, you know what, I just realized I didn't have that showing for you guys what I was reading from. I'll quickly show that on air. I know it's probably too small to really see it anyway. But if you do, go to Logo Nerds, that's basically their intake form. So that was just those were my responses to their input. So Scott, are there other things that you find that are real beneficial for you to know, or that you ask for from clients?
Well, it's good to have your sense of what you want to do, and certainly you outlined a lot of that with the Logo Nerds site. Certainly, you've got a lot of detail that you can work off, and then after that, a lot of people, I think, would then just kind of sit and play with it and see what kind of visuals come to mind as they look at it. A lot of times I'll look at other sources for related materials that might be similar, or something that gets me inspired to a shape that might work. So I tinkered with a few different elements that were variations of what they had done, and in my mind I thought they might be working, and then just kind of developed all those things together along with what you had put together, and tried to come up with something that had, for me, a visual, successful look to it, and something that was something fairly useful, or at least fairly complete at that point. And then, like you were saying with the square issue, I thought that it might work to have like a variation that could be your little mark that would complement the full logo, but also carry that same identity and be able to use on Facebook or other social medias.
Good. So I've got on screen now what you sent to me. I believe this was about 5 days ago, or possibly shorter than that. Maybe it was as recently as Sunday. I'm not sure. But so yeah, so the CT, the square, you definitely delivered on square. I just thought, well, I'm not sure if that's going to communicate enough about what is co-thrive, so that was my concern. And that although I kind of like the ribbon look through the letters on the lower one, I still thought, I don't know, there's just something, I'm trying to remember now, it's hard to go back through all the thoughts that you had, but I thought the corn was maybe a little too overrepresented, because the corn was one element of the Three Sisters, but I didn't want to get mistaken for like John Deere or Monsanto or something like that. I just thought, well, I'm a little concerned that, and then the wing element, or what I perceived as kind of the wing element coming off of the corn, seemed, maybe just out of proportion to my importance that I had put on that. So Scott really hung in there with me. Lee has noted that the CT square would work as a favicon, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I've got that on my list of things to take a look at too. So I actually did design one of those just this morning, and I want to go through that process of how to do that. Okay, so that was the next incarnation, and then we had another little go round. Let's see what we came from that. I think my thought was still that the typeface was a little too, it reminded me of like the 20s or the 30s, kind of that, what is that called? The WPA, just like kind of, I don't even know. It's kind of funny, the things that we know but we don't really know. I can't explain it exactly, but it feels kind of like that that Public Works Administration or something like that. It didn't feel as soft to me. So I asked Scott to kind of go back to concept number 2 from Logo Nerds. I really was having a hard time totally getting rid of the caduceus. A few notes about the caduceus, by the way. There were a lot of comments on Facebook that said, you know, you don't really have anything to do with health, and the caduceus is the symbol for medicine. And you know what? It actually turns out that it is not. It gets very often confused with another symbol, and darned if I'm going to be able to remember what this is. Let me just bring it up. Good old Wikipedia. They can probably tell me. There's the staff of Asclepius, I think it's called. That's actually the medical symbol. And so, you know, fortunately or unfortunately, in the public mind, they've kind of merged into one thing. And so when people see that, that's what they think of. But the caduceus is actually, it represents Hermes, and by extension trades, occupations, or undertakings. And it is also, it's noted here, it's incorrectly used as a symbol of healthcare organizations. But, you know, how much do you really want to fight with that? If that's what people associate with it, then it's what they associate with it. Some people liked it because they saw the, you know, the snakes as kind of representative of my my love for worm composting. And to me, you know, the worms that are in the soil, building what I consider in social media kind of the network. You know, the soil is almost the most important part, because if you don't have good soil, anything you put in there doesn't grow, regardless of how synergistic, you know, they are. So I asked Scott, can we please look at this again? You know, I know that we can do better on Logo Nerds concept number 2, even with things like, you know, kerning the type, which is the subtle differences in spacing between the letters so that they have better relationship to one another. That can make all the difference. And I very crudely drew in the way that I wanted to see the worms kind of maybe be a little, I got feedback that they might look a little sinister. They looked a little bit like snakes on the original concept, and they said, could they be a little bit more playful, a little bit more worm-like? And I thought, well, it might be interesting to have their heads almost make a heart at the top. You know, would that be a possibility? So anyway, I gave you another round of ideas 2 days ago. And just, when did you get that to me, Scott? You got me another round. I mean, obviously it's been in the last 24 hours, but...
I think I was leaving at the end of the day yesterday and threw a mail to you because I had just finished another project. So I put it in the email and sent it to you for review and was heading on my way home.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, he was like, I know we're coming up on, you know, go time, and, you know, what we decided is, hey, we're not going to stress out here. This is, you know, we're going to have what we have. We're not going to stop the launch because we don't have it. But Scott gave me this. Let's see, it was time-stamped. Well, again, since our last time together, and I really think we're getting super close. So I got this and was totally excited about it. I actually did put one version of this up on the live site as of this morning, and what I found is that in my current theme, it's really hard to kind of read these words. I like the words together with it, you know, to kind of give it a subhead or you know, give it some context. But I'll show you what I ended up using, Scott. I think you did a really nice job, though, to make these look a little bit more, you know, worm-like. I don't know if other people are going to get the worm thing, but I really like it. And having the beans as kind of the wings, having the corn be, you know, more slender and just seen as a support seemed to, you know, take it down to its proper, you know, import, because it's really the idea of 3 things, you know, working together. Lisa said she loves the worm image. 3 exclamation points. Thank you for the worm love. Yeah, I don't know if everybody's going to get it, but what I've decided for now is to take, you know, the guts of the co-thrive element. And Scott, I think you changed this up, didn't you? It looks like you've kerned it or maybe changed the font a little bit. can you tell me what you did just on that body text, the co-thrive with the little V?
I was working over, basically I brought the one you had started with your scribble on top into Illustrator, so I was working over the top of it, but I did tighten up the letters a little bit. I was able to find the font finally because, frankly, I don't have a good font memory, so I had to thumb through our repertoire of fonts to find it. But once I did find it, I was able to get the letter forms, you know, where the logo was in your Logo Nerds concept, and then I just moved the ones that were too far apart, I thought, and brought it closer together so that it was, you know, tight but not touching, as it were. So, and I think it just has a better, you know, readability if it's more compact that way. And then for a logo, I think you can you know, read it cleanly that way. And then you had like the V with the letter turned into like a vine with a leaf at the end of it, and having that, you know, it's just a nice little variation on the font. So I matched that with a little bit different leaf, but pretty much the same as what you'd started.
Okay, cool. So what I'm thinking right now is that where I need, you know, just a clean horizontal format, and you know, I'm kind of forced into displaying it relatively small, is I'll probably just use this word with a little leaf, you know. And then this one I think will work great for my social profile because it's square, and I kind of threw out that idea, like, hey Scott, what if we put the co you know, on top of Thrive? You know, I think it's kind of ideal if we can keep it together. But I've got one that's like 219 Green Connect, where it's all out in one horizontal. There's one version there, and then stacked, you know, 219 on one line, Green on one line, Connect, and that's what I've used for kind of the square. So this kind of reminded me of that. And then this lower one, back to Lee Watson's point, is what I use to make a favicon. And Scott, is that something you guys typically do when you're working with a client making a website?
Well, it's one of those things that you want to be able to brand as much as possible. So certainly if you have a website, or if you're working with a client that's also doing websites, then you want to be able to add those in as well. And they are so small that it often is a bigger challenge than doing a logo, because you only have like 20 pixels or something to work with. But it's one of those things that if you can brand in the favicon, then that becomes like a little mark that will show up whenever you have a posting, and it just, you know, furthers your identity that way.
Right. So for anybody that doesn't know what that is, let me just explain real quick. You've probably seen them all the time and you just don't think about it. I'm displaying several right now, whether you knew it or not. I've got probably too many tabs open for my browser to be happy, but you can see this green looking, you know, spreadsheet thing that we kind of recognize for those of us that use Google Drive. Oh, that's Google Drive spreadsheet. You know, this one I believe is the Wix symbol for the Wix websites. This little kind of blue flower thing, this is the favicon for GoToWebinar. So all of these, you know, Pinterest has one that's readily identifiable, Gmail, Facebook. So it's pretty easy for you to make your own, although to do it well, not always that easy. I just went to, I don't have one that I use all the time. Every time I need it, I basically just try, you know, Googling favicon builder and see what I get, and you know, they all kind of work the same. So what you do basically is, here's one called just favicon.cc, and if you want to create a new one, you can either draw it, you know, freehand, which I would probably never do because I'm not a designer, or you can import an image, and to do that you would have had to have saved something from your, you know, from your screen already. I just did a quick screen capture thing to take off that square one that Scott provided me, and I chose that file from where I saved it on my desktop. You can either keep the dimensions or you can shrink it to a square icon. It's already pretty square, so I'm just going to say keep dimensions and then upload. So it'll upload. Generally it's not going to look exactly the way you want, but it'll just give you some general shapes. What you can do from there is to pick from the colors last used, and you can kind of go over the squares, you know, with the colors that you like, trying to kind of create something that suggests the right pattern. Again, not that easy to do because of what Scott said. You're really limited with the number of pixels that you've got to work with. If you really want to get fancy, you can even use animation, and what you would do then is to design a series of favicons and just say, hey, animate this, loop it forever, or don't use animation. I don't really feel the need to use animation, so I didn't choose that. But anyway, it's just one way that you can give your site a little personality beyond just keeping whatever your host has. Okay, if you don't put anything at all, then you're going to get the default, generally the icon of whoever is hosting your site. I'll show one more real quick, just of a client site that I work with, LOK Wishing Tree. They have a pretty complicated logo, but we just took little elements of it. And if you didn't know, what it was, I mean, you're not going to look at that favicon and go, oh, that's the LOK Wishing Tree. But at least you can pick it out of an open, line of browser tabs a little bit more quickly. I definitely have done some that have been more successful than others. But anyway, it's just another depth that you can go to get the branding in. So I really appreciate it, Scott. We haven't seen all of your contributions yet, but as I rebrand all of my social media sites, your work is going to become, more obvious. For now, again, I'm forced into a relatively small, representation of the logo until I can figure out how to do the theme overrides on the Nation Builder site. But we've got the real logo in place. It matches the theme, and I am just thrilled. So I want to thank you very much for being a part of CoThrive and for bringing your gifts to the site.
Sure. Well, it was fun. I think it's interesting seeing something to come together, and working on a variety of platforms. It's easy to come up with variations, I think, that would effectively work in any different medium. So even on this one, you could do a reversed version, and that might work well in that big green header, and come up with something that's matches the theme, or you can make the theme match your logo better.
Cool. And so just a little shout out, if somebody does have the budget to work with a graphic designer, I know Scott does really kind of big time work for the most part, which is why, again, on my little project, I didn't even kind of think of calling him. But if you want to get in touch with Scott, his employer is John Goes Studio in Milwaukee. GoStudio.com is their website, and you can kind of look at their portfolio to see all the different things that they've done. They've done some pretty big name brands, and have I think a really kind of distinctive look. I'd say usually it is a little bit more polished and cleaner. And I don't know if that's just kind of the types of clients you attract, and I almost challenged you because I wanted softer, messier, But if you want to find Scott, you can go to GoStudio.com, and his name is Scott Mason, and you're also on LinkedIn. Is that right, Scott? Is there any
That's
other
right.
good way for people to find you?
That works well if they're on Google. I'm on Google Plus as well, but yeah, I think the website is the easiest way, and they'll at least show them some samples of what stuff we've done.
Well, again, thank you. I know you've got to get off to your to the studio and do some design work, so I really appreciate you being here today.
Yep, it was good to be able to join in, and we'll keep watching.
Sounds great. Thanks again for noticing and just pitching right in. That's kind of the CoThrive spirit that I'm looking to unleash. So you really picked right up on that. All right, well, have a great day, Scott. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so that's how we got the first part of the brand going. I'm on the lookout here for Kathy Hare to see if she shows up. Some of you may remember her name from the very first week when we were doing these workshops. She designed some of the artwork that we ended up sharing on the series that was called Social Lights, and it was a lot of fun, really great stuff. But until she gets here, I've got plenty of other things to talk about. Wanted to address a little bit about color choices, just what's the psychology of color, certainly what goes with your brand. Various website platforms will make this option kind of easier or harder to change, or I shouldn't say easier or harder, but the degree of customization that you're able to kind of dictate can change depending on which platform you're on. I have chosen nationbuilder.com because it's a membership site platform. I've not used it before this project, and frankly, not everybody needs to use this platform. But if you are building, an online community and you want to have interaction, you want to have, members basically, then it would definitely be something to take a look at. So you can find out more, once again, at nationbuilder.com. Let's see. I'll just go ahead and show you once I get into the back end of this stuff. If you go into Edit, I'll show you what I can do to make some changes. You can go into, I'm still getting the hang of this myself. Okay, there are settings, and I think I actually want website settings. Let's go here. Yeah, okay, so I can go to Theme, and on Theme, there are different templates that I can choose from. And the various templates have color options, so each of those kind of allow some degree of customization. However, it's a little bit it's a little bit limited. Okay, you can create a new custom theme. Frankly, I am not that gifted, but I do see Kathy Hare has arrived. So I'm just going to finish up on color theory, and then I'm going to switch it over to her. She's got kind of a different approach than Scott with her logo development, and so I want to hear from her. Let me just check the mic real quick and make sure she's got. Okay. Kathy, you know what? I see that you have arrived, but I don't have a mic showing up for you. So I'm going to need you to dial in, or to have a mic that I can open up on screen. If you're able to do that, I'd love for you to comment on your logo process. If not, I've got it covered with color theory, and I know we're going to be having you on next week, so we could definitely talk about your part then. But please go ahead and dial in if you're able to, and if not, we'll address it another time. But anyway, green and brown, those were the colors that I was drawn to for the logo, and I just wanted to kind of do some research online to find out, does that jive with my feelings about it? And brown, at least on this website, I'm not saying this is Harvard or Yale or someplace completely scientific, but it seems intuitively to me that this is what brown means to me. Down to earth, a color signifying stability, structure, and support, relating to protection and support of the family unit, keen sense of duty and responsibility, security, sense of belonging, quality, sensitive and warm, calm, comfort, practical. Like all of those things are basically things that I wanted to evoke with my logo and with the site itself. The color brown is associated with wholesome, natural, and organic produce, anything related to the great outdoors. Brown is a frugal color, not associated with frivolity, excess, or waste in any form. Yeah, that's basically, that's me. Brown is describing me. So I also saw somewhere that said women don't tend to like brown, and I'm not sure that I totally agree with that, because that definitely does describe me very well in what I'm trying to do. I also found something about green that I thought was good, and green is obviously the bigger, primary use on the site and the logo itself. This was just a quick Google search that I found this. I don't have any particular connection to this website, but it was blog.kissmetrics.com, Psychology of Color and Conversions, if you want to check it out. I'll go ahead and just put that link in the chat area. So if you find this helpful and you want to explore it later, just copy it for yourself and you can go check it out. So this just kind of goes through color psychology, and if you're designing a call to action, this can be real helpful. So yellow is for warnings, blue is trustworthy. They mention that Facebook is the world's largest social network, and probably no accident that they're blue. They want people to feel like they're trustworthy and that friendly, that kind of thing. So just kind of make sure that what you're you're choosing is something that you like, number one, but that also doesn't go against what you're trying to stand for with your brand and with your intention. So green, you know, they say perhaps the most intuitive color connection is green, the color of outdoors, eco-friendly, nature, and environment. You know, I think we do kind of all get that one pretty easily. It's a chromatic symbol for nature itself. Apart from its obvious outdoorsy suggestiveness, green is also a color that can improve creativity. Labeled the green effect, one study indicated that participants had more burst of creativity when presented with a flash of green color as opposed to any other. If the focus of your website has anything to do with nature, environment, organic, or outdoors, green should be your color of choice. Not just about nature, though, it's a good action color. So between all of those, I mean, that's exactly what I'm trying to do is get people to act on what it is that they, you know, want to bring forth. I do love nature and want to evoke that kind of the organic, let's grow together. So that also seemed to really fit for me. So I felt very, very good about being using all of those. Okay, I still can't get Kathy on the mic, so I'm going to just keep going. Sorry, Kathy. I really wanted to let you speak about what you were going to talk about. I am just going to go ahead and put her her site up online so that you can check it out if you're curious, since I've mentioned her. Her website you can get to a couple different ways. It is Heartology, so that's Heart, HeartOlogy.wix.com, and you can basically go to her Conscious Design tab, and she's got a process that she calls intentional logos. Oh, great. I think I can finally get her on, so let me go ahead and do that. Hey, Kathy. Kathy, are you able to hear me? More importantly, are you able to speak? Okay, maybe she's still gearing up, but at least I could unmic her right now. So Kathy, just join in if and when you're able, okay? But basically, Kathy is going to be my co-presenter next week. We're going to be talking about several different ways that you can build websites. We talked about websites a little bit last week as part of you know, your online presence. And for those that don't have one, that can be a pretty big hurdle to get over. And so we just wanted to explore a few different ways. Kathy has used Wix quite a few times before. I've used Wix fairly recently. I've used Weebly fairly recently. I have been using WordPress almost exclusively for the last few years. And then just very recently have used Nation Builder. Probably some other ones out there too. I think Google, you know, Google Sites will probably cover. I think more than one site a day in an hour's time would probably be a little bit, might be a little bit crazy, but you know, we're going to give it a go. We're going to show what we can do to make it easy for people to get started and not have that be a hurdle. So, shoot, I've lost Kathy's mic again, so I don't know that we're going to be able to make this happen today. That's all right. I'm going to go ahead and just go to the website. I want to show you another thing that I did just within the last 24 hours. If you go to cothrive.org, again, that is a live site now, the calendar tab is working fine. And I had said you can go, just as of yesterday, the easiest way to get to the events was to go to Facebook and sign up there. However, I really want to start making this the go-to place where people come. And so what I did was I created an event called Explorations in Website Building. So if you all could do me the favor, if that's something that you want to take part in, please go to cothrive.org and just click on that Explorations in Website Building and just sign up that way. Okay, so you can sign up right here. It's pretty easy. One heads up, Kathy has a school-age daughter that she takes, you know, to school each day, and so she can't really do this 7 to 8 a.m. slot very easily. So we're going to just bump it a little bit next week. It'll be 8 to 9 a.m. Central Time. And if you all who are on the call think that you want to join us, again, it's free. Please go ahead and RSVP, and we're going to try out this new system and see how that goes for us. I think it's going to be kind of a lot easier. The other cool thing that Nation Builder makes it easy to do is once you have RSVP'd, you can post your comment. You can kind of tweet it. You can Facebook it. You can tell people, hey, I just did this or that. Admittedly, I don't have all of these bells and whistles hooked up yet, but if you can kind of try it out for me and let me know how that works for you, the more that you comment, the more that kind of creates buzz online. Just FYI, I don't have the CoThrive brand yet launched on Facebook and Twitter. That will be coming very, very shortly as I go to the hard launch, the public launch of the brand. But right now it might be a bit confusing because you're going to see a 219 Green Connect plugin. So it's not working 100% the way that it will, and it says follow Kathy Sipple for Twitter. Soon this is going to say, you know, follow CoThrive, and you're going to be liking liking CoThrive rather than 219 Green Connect. All right, but I just don't have the social elements of CoThrive finished just yet. All right, so one other fun thing is there's a leaderboard here, and what I'm tracking so far for the leaderboard is people who have volunteered, and you get points that are called social capital. So just by stepping up and doing things like volunteering, tweeting, liking, commenting, you can earn social capital, and it doesn't cost anything. It helps, you know, helps me get the word out, and it makes it a little bit fun, and is a good example of, you know, co-branding, co-thriving. So anybody that wants to play in that space, I'm going to be layering on maybe some contests or special things that you can do to make it more fun and in ways that you can win. Another thing too is I am doing free workshops right now, and I'm happy to keep doing them for free. I think I might have told you that I'm basically using a public broadcasting system model right now where it is free programming, but it's listener supported or attendee supported, member supported. So there is a donate button here if you want to join at any level. You definitely make it more sustainable for me to be able to continue to do the free programs and to hopefully keep enhancing these benefits and, you know, doing more. So you can donate at, you know, $5, $10, $30, $50, or $100 level per month. Anybody that joins at the $30 a month or more, $30 a month or more, you get the access to the office hours. So outside of these free webinars that are more Kathy talking, you listening, during those office hours, you're able to bring your specific projects that you want to work on, and we work through those as a part of your member benefit. You know, just to kind of get some assessment of what's the value of that. If you were to hire me for just a single hour of my time, it's, you know, $125 an hour for for-profit business, or $100 an hour for nonprofits. So, you know, being able to stop in and take advantage of those office hours, it really is a good value. I'm also going to be offering discounted hourly rates for members. Okay, and Charlotte, oh, she said she didn't think she got the email. That could be user error on my part. All right, I'm going to send out an email. It might be stuck in my draft program. Again, I need help. I need volunteers. I need financial support to kind of do all these things that I want to do. But anyway, if you are in a position, Charlotte says I need interns. I do. I've had a few people step up and volunteer on certain things, and there are a lot of irons in the fire right now. Okay, so if you're able to join at any level, you know, even like $5 a month would be super helpful, because there are certain things that I said I was going to talk about this later, but since I couldn't get Kathy on, I'll just kind of address it now. You know, these are kind of my monthly ongoing cost right now. Nation Builder is $19 a month. GoToWebinar, GoToMeeting is $100 a month. Zapier I have not yet purchased but greatly want to. This helps me basically take sign-ups from one area and automatically zap it into another area, is $20 a month. The domain names, I only had to do that once, and that's just yearly. But so far it's whatever, $140 a month basically that I'm paying right now, and I've gotten some you know, one-off donations, which is also very, you know, very helpful and appreciated. Memberships though, right now I've got one member at the $30 a month level. So I would just love to have knowledge that this is worth some amount to you on an ongoing basis. You can cancel at any time if you find that the value is no longer there for you. I can definitely do a trade in services, and a couple people have stepped forward and have, you know, like Scott, I didn't even ask him to do the logo and he did that. So yeah, I can definitely use services as well. At the same time, you know, I'm on the hook for this this amount every month, and then there were some startup costs as well. So again, you know, it's not like, oh, woe is me, and I'm not happy to pay for it. But I just want to know, is there support? Is this worth, $5 a month to you? Is it worth $10 a month to you to have CoThrive be built out to be more thriving, to offer more services than just this 1 hour in the morning, where we can work on projects together, where we can have more expanded office hours, where I could maybe, have an administrative assistant to help me make sure that emails go out that I start. Anyhow, you can do that. And if you're not in that position, or you're just kind of hearing me for the first time, and that just seems crazy because you haven't had the experience, I invite you to go to my YouTube channel. This is not very well integrated with the site just yet. Give me another day and it will be. But if you go to, the easiest way to get there right now is to go to the My Social Media Coach Facebook page. So that's just facebook.com/My Social Media Coach. And if you click on Watch Video, that takes you right to the YouTube channel. Okay. When you go to the YouTube channel, you will be prompted to subscribe, because I am really looking for people to subscribe so you get notified of all the latest updates. And on that, you can just click the blue support button, and you can support at any level at all. It can be a $1, one-time donation, and even that is helpful. So if you can help me tweet that, if you like a video that I did, this week, last week, 2 weeks ago, those are the ones that have been processed so far. And as I hit revenue goals, I'll keep processing more video. So anyway, Deborah says that we all need interns. And Deborah also says that when I go to Google, it says CoThrive University. I do also own that domain. Again, you might not have heard me, but there are some issues around search engine optimization. I am buying the trademark, or I'm getting the trademark. It was owned by somebody else eventually. CoThrive University, my idea behind that would be to have the subpage and have that be about the recorded classes, like this one that we're doing right now. So that was kind of the idea there. I agree. I understand that there's some confusion right now. I'm on it. But thanks for the feedback. So anything that you can tell me by way of feedback, if you want to experiment with the CoThrive site and just sign up as a free member, sign up at any level. You can hit the Get Involved tab and tell me if there's some kind of trade for service that you're interested in that you would like to do. I think Deb said that she would like to be a presenter, and Christine said she would help with promoting workshops and programs. So tell me what you would like to do. Tell me how you would like to be involved, and let's CoThrive. I would love to work with all kinds of different partners from a variety of disciplines. So again, tomorrow we'll be meeting back, and I think I'm going to be showing you more about the features of the site. And you know what? It's happening day by day these days. We're getting there. If I can get it going with the rebranding thing, I will be able to talk about that. Okay, Michelle, what is the website tab again? Tell me what you mean by that. I'm not sure. Let me see, the website tab on CoThrive. Okay, I took you through a few website tabs. There's Calendar. Calendar is where I'm now putting on, so it's cothrive.org. That's how to get there. Website building. Okay, gotcha. Go to Calendar, and my event is called Explorations in Website Building. And there's 6 RSVPs already, so you guys are awesome. Very cool. Charlotte's asking, do I like Nation Builder better than WordPress now? Not in every case. Unless you need to develop a membership site, there's really no reason at all for you to use Nation Builder for me because I'm trying to sell memberships, and basically it's going to be a almost like member supported or publicly supported project. It works very well for that. If your business model does not require that, I would in no way recommend changing over. That would not make sense. So we're going to talk about that though in considerations with building websites next week. So thank you to those of you who have RSVP'd. That is awesome. Great to see. And if you can tweet that, share it, whatever, let people know that you're doing it. Hey, you guys are doing great. You're already doing that. Doka just posted on Facebook, please RSVP, explorations in website building. Doka RSVP +1, Deb RSVP +1, great. So that's awesome. Invite your friends, let people know about it, and the social capital with the sharing is definitely worth a lot to me. If you're not in a position to donate financially, I want to say again that I value all forms of energy, not just financial. It is, certainly, useful for paying the bills and, just the things that go into the Co-Thrive project. But it takes a village, and thanks for being part of my village. We'll be meeting back here tomorrow, bright and early at 7 Central. Thanks for being here today.